The drama surrounding the WNBA right now feels heavier than anything the league has faced in years, perhaps even decades. Just when women's basketball seemed to be breaking through walls that once felt immovable. Just when momentum finally shifted from hope to reality, the entire structure now stands on the edge of something deeply unsettling. This is not just another labor dispute. This is not background noise that fades once the games tip off again. This is a moment that could define the future of the league, the careers of its brightest stars, and the fragile relationship between progress and power. For the first time in a long time, the WNBA felt unstoppable. Ratings were climbing, arenas were fuller, sponsorships that once hesitated were now competing for space. New fans were discovering the league not out of obligation or novelty, but because the basketball itself demanded attention. At the center of that surge stood Cait, a player whose impact extended far beyond the stat sheet. She was not just scoring points, she was drawing eyes, reshaping conversations, and pulling the WNBA into mainstream sports culture in a way few players ever have. And now, all of that is in jeopardy. The uncomfortable reality is this: if the WNBA stalls now, if the 2026 season is delayed or lost entirely to a lockout, the progress made over the last 2 years risks being wiped out almost overnight. Growth in sports is not linear. Momentum does not wait patiently. When it stops, it doesn't pause. It disappears. And rebuilding it is always harder than building it the first time. For fans, this moment is beyond frustrating. They want to see Cait continue her rise, break records, deepen her legacy, and lead Indiana into meaningful playoff runs. They want to see rivalries grow, storylines evolve, and stars flourish on the biggest stage. But if a lockout hits, Clark won't even have the chance to step on the floor. And that raises a question nobody in the league wants to answer out loud. Without Cait playing, without weekly must-watch moments, can the WNBA maintain its surge in popularity? That question hangs over everything. Tension did not appear out of nowhere. It has been building quietly, then suddenly, loudly, behind closed doors, and in public moments that made it impossible to ignore. During the All-Star festivities, players stepped onto the court wearing shirts that read, "Pay us what you owe us." It wasn't subtle, it wasn't symbolic. It was direct, confrontational, and intentional. That single visual told the entire story of how strained the relationship between players and league leadership has become. From the players' perspective, the argument feels simple. They believe they have fueled this growth. Ratings are up, ticket sales are up, merchandise is selling faster than ever. Social media engagement is exploding. New television deals are on the horizon. Major sponsors are aligning themselves with the league in ways they never did before. To the players, this is not theoretical progress. It is measurable, visible, and undeniable. And if the league is making more money, they want a larger share of it. But the league's executives see a very different picture. They acknowledge the surge in attention, but they point to the balance sheets. Despite the growth, the WNBA has struggled for years to consistently turn a profit. From their point of view, raising salaries and expanding benefits too aggressively before the league's finances stabilize could push teams deeper into losses. They argue that sustainability matters just as much as fairness, and that rewarding players without protecting the league's long-term health could ultimately hurt everyone. That disconnect is where the real danger lives. This isn't just a disagreement over numbers. It's a breakdown in trust. Players feel undervalued. Owners feel exposed. Each side believes they are protecting the future, yet they are pulling in opposite directions. And neither side seems willing to back down. Adding even more complexity to this situation is the league's aggressive expansion plan. Starting in 2026, the WNBA is preparing to launch multiple new teams, including franchises in major markets like Portland and Toronto. On the surface, expansion sounds like the ultimate sign of success. New cities, new fans, new revenue streams, proof that the league is growing. But beneath that optimism is a growing sense of unease among players. Current rosters are already stretched thin. Some teams have relied on hardship contracts just to fill lineup spots. Depth has become an issue, not just competitively, but physically. Players are being asked to do more with less support. Against that backdrop, expansion raises uncomfortable questions. Why add more teams when the existing salary structure remains unresolved? Why increase the number of jobs without first improving the conditions of the jobs that already exist? Expansion also brings financial strain. New teams require new facilities, additional travel, expanded schedules, and increased operational costs. All of this arrives at the exact moment players are demanding higher pay and better benefits. Expansion represents progress, but it also magnifies every unresolved issue. Without a solid collective bargaining agreement in place, expansion could end up hurting the league more than helping it. To fully understand why negotiations have reached this point, you have to look at the owner's perspective more closely. From their side, the math still doesn't feel safe. Yes, attendance is improving. Yes, sponsorships are growing. But the league has not yet reached a point where revenue reliably covers expenses across all markets. Owners argue they have already made major investments to improve the product. Charter flights, expanded marketing campaigns, improved media coverage, and better facilities all come with significant costs. They worry that pushing salaries too high, too fast could destabilize teams, especially smaller market franchises that are already operating on thin margins. From their viewpoint, this is not about greed, at least not entirely. It's about risk management. Promise too much now, and if revenue dips later, the entire structure could collapse. That fear is driving caution, even if it risks angering the players. But time is not on anyone's side. As deadlines approach, patience is evaporating. And just as tensions peak, another factor enters the equation, making everything even more volatile. Unrivaled, the player-led league founded by Nafisa Collier and Brina Stewart, has emerged as a legitimate alternative. Unrivaled offers competitive salaries and gives players more control, positioning itself as both an opportunity and a threat. For players, Unrivaled represents leverage. It's a safety net, proof that they have options beyond the WNBA. For owners, it represents a nightmare scenario. Two leaders of the WNBA are also deeply involved in running a competing league. That raises questions about conflict of interest and negotiation integrity. How do you bargain in good faith when the people across the table are tied to a rival product that could benefit from your failure? If a lockout happens, Unrivaled could benefit massively. Fans looking for basketball would follow the stars. Sponsors might shift their investments. Players would have somewhere to go. And the WNBA, at the worst possible moment in its growth cycle, would be forced to watch momentum flow elsewhere. That's why October 31st matters so much. It's not just another date on the calendar. It's a deadline that could determine whether the league moves forward or fractures under pressure. If a deal is not finalized by then, three outcomes loom. The first is a short-term extension, keeping the current agreement in place while negotiations continue. This would buy time, but it would not solve the underlying issues. The second is a delayed start to the season, which would disrupt expansion plans, media schedules, and sponsorship time. The third, and most dangerous, is a full lockout, where players are barred from participating. Until an agreement is reached, experts warn that a full lockout could cost the league an entire season. Losing 2026 would be devastating. Momentum would vanish. Fans would drift away. Sponsors would reconsider their commitments. At a moment when the WNBA is finally breaking into mainstream consciousness, a lost season would be catastrophic. The ripple effects would extend far beyond the league itself. Millions of dollars are already tied up in broadcast rights, sponsorship agreements, and marketing campaigns. Networks have locked-in schedules. Brands have built campaigns around WNBA stars. Fans have built routines around watching their teams every week. A canceled or delayed season would not just slow progress. It would stop it cold. And the harsh truth is this: casual fans are the hardest to win back. The WNBA has finally begun converting casual viewers into consistent followers, largely because of stars like Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, Sophie Cunningham, and others. But take an entire year off, and many of those fans will move on. They'll shift their attention to college basketball, the NBA, or other sports entirely. Rebuilding that audience would be an uphill battle. For players, the consequences are just as severe. Caitlin Clark is entering the most critical stage of her career. A lost season would stall her growth, limit her global reach, and slow the expansion of her brand at the exact moment it should be accelerating. Younger players would lose vital development time. Veterans would face uncertainty about contracts and career longevity. International leagues and alternatives like Unrivaled would suddenly look more appealing. For the league itself, this is about more than missed games. It's about trust. Trust from fans. Trust from sponsors. Trust from partners.